Meanwhile, the doctor removes the bullet from the injured organ, assuring that the young man will live until 100 years. But that's not the worst part. The boy's friend assures him that when Don Machado learns that his assailant is still alive, he's sure to trust the Benta case, decides on the only way out. He pretends to be murdered. That evening, Morocco arrives at his coffin. Morocco comes to his coffin in the evening and kisses him goodbye. The boy sees her father going after the girl's excuse is that she felt guilty. One of her friend makes a farewell speech when the candle in the dead man's hand burns out and sets fire to his clothes. The Benta screams and tries to put herself out, and the others are terrified, scatter in front of the blazing house. Dawn. Masha decides she's going to kill the deceiver when two famous gossip columnists, two famous gossip girls show up, which brings Masha to a standstill. Now their disgrace will be known to all at this moment. Don Machado is informed that the seducer and his friends have been arrested for defrauding the authorities, and the father rushes to jail. He rushes at the boy, the guy when he's stopped by his lawyer. If he kills him, his daughter's honor will finally be ruined, and then Don Machado makes the decision to make Morocco a widow, because he's gonna kill the bastard himself, after he marries his daughter. When Morocco learns of her father's plans, categorically refuses to marry. The father insists, and so the couple stands at the altar. When asked if he will marry Morocco from Benta, answers with a yes. But the girl, out of the blue, answers no to her father. She explains her decision for a lack of love, which is completely incomprehensible to the man. But Makos reminds him that times have changed. Slavery will be abolished, and people will live by. He taught her math, shooting and swimming, and most importantly, to always be herself. So why is he now? He's forcing her to change who she is. He raised her like this after a huge scandal. The family decides to leave the country for a while, to wait out the heat of the scandal away from the house, away from home, especially since the landlord needs to inspect the recently purchased land in England. Her father takes her to the family onto the albatross liner he owns, and they examine the ship and conclude that it's beautiful and very safe for a Machado. The best cabins are prepared, and the only thing that marred the voyage is marred only by the news that the king has cancelled his visit and has not responded to Don's message. And the Morocco learns that, in order to please the Don, the Machado route, a farewell horn sounds and the ship sails out to sea. Morocco finds her father on the deck and apologizes to him. She knew how important the emperor's visit was important to him, but the father he bought a shipyard on the other side of the Allah, and intends to watch them just for the hell of it. But Morocco realizes that he's doing all this to save her from a scandal. Although the father assures her that he's taking them on an educational and not running away from the shame of the evening, the captain invites the family to dinner as the ship enters the ice fields off the coast of Patagonia. And then Don Machado recognizes in the waiter, the poor Benta, who had also decided to leave the country after a shameful marriage in hopes of forgetting the Moroccos. The man grabs the guy and is about to shake the guy out of him, but then the ship suddenly veers off course and collides with a huge iceberg. The ship goes down. The ship goes down in a panic. People are praying for salvation, which apparently is not years later in 2018. A young surfer, Samukaya, is at sea in the near Sao Paulo. He's enjoying beautiful weather and calm seas, when he sees a huge icy mountain brought by the warm current. To the shores of Brazil, the boy swims to the unusual phenomenon: a lifeguard in a helicopter, a rescue team in a helicopter and jet skis. But Samukaya reaches the mountain first, and is amazed. He sees a block of people in the ice. The first person Samukaya notices is Morocco S, and the young man is struck by its beauty. Then the ice starts to crumble. The boy loses his board, and notices that the girl has been freed from the ice and sinks to the bottom, dives in after her, and pulls her to the surface. The current pulls them away from the spot, and the guy doesn't have to fight it. The couple is taken to Red Island, where there's a scooter on the beach. CPR strikes him, and the girl suddenly comes back to life. She's terrified of a guy she doesn't even know, a practically naked Morocco with no understands the strange word surfer and then raises a scream, to which a couple of locals come running. Locals Mona and Marino at the same time, while the rest of the frozen men are taken to shore where the NCIS decides what to do with them. And eventually the military calls in helicopters to transport the unique people to Sao Paulo. In the meantime, a friend of Samu Lilmo's and his girlfriend Bettina, who are concerned about the guy's disappearance in 2 hours, a meeting in Sao Paulo, and he's nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Samukaya tells the couple that he saved the girl's life. He saved the girl's life, and not at all plotting his depravity because he's naked. But Marina starts to ask what happened, and Morocco remembers that his whole family drowned with the ship. The albatross woman notices that Morocco is shivering from the cold and takes the couple to his home, where she pampers the girl with hot tea and tucks her into bed. Marina is surprised by the distance Samukai has the girl in his arms, but the man admits that he's a professional sportsman. Morocco tells him that the albatross drowned off the coast of Patagonia, but Marina says it's very far away, from here. Meanwhile, the rest of the frozen ones are brought to the cryolab and placed in separate oxygen chambers to gradually bring them back to life. The military doesn't know what to tell the press, but the doctor also, she's never seen anything like this before. 11 people and a dog in the freezing cold and in the ice swims into her husband's clothes and suddenly recognizes the guy. He's not only a famous athlete, but also a successful businessman and waste recycling plant owner and environmental activist and a local celebrity. Unfortunately, there is no cell phone in the house. There is no cell phone, and Samukai can't get in touch with him. Meanwhile, Samu's friends have decided to launch a massive search. Owner of a recycling plant, environmental activist, and a local celebrity. Unfortunately, there is no cell phone in the house. There is no cell phone, and Samukai can't get in touch. Meanwhile, Samu's friends decide to launch a massive search. But the most important thing is to inform the boy's mother about what happened, especially since the woman is expecting her son to meet a powerful investor who's already angry about his tardiness. Upon hearing her son's tardiness, the woman rushes to the shore. Elma, meanwhile, is on a rented boat. She surveys the nearby waters because his companion could not have drowned, and he argues with the owners of the house to prove that the girl was indeed frozen and insists on taking Morocco to the hospital. And then it turns out that she's long since a long time ago. The poor girl is running around on the beach and calling for her family, and then it's raining, and she's wandering down the road. And then a car catches up with her, and a woman in a uniform gets out, and the uniformed woman gets out, and it so frightened Morocco so much that she fainted. And Samukaya comes to the rescue, to take her to the hospital. Elma's boat goes to see his friend, but he doesn't believe it's possible. Despite the fact that the girl is clearly hypothermia, Morocco gets into a helicopter. They send her to Sao Paulo. Co herself is flying with her, and Elma tells Carmen and Bettina about it. Bettina. Finally, Morocco falls into the hands doctors, and his mother and a friend come to see him. Samu, but he can't say anything new. Meanwhile, in the crooked lab, they're looking for a missing girl, because her life is in danger if her aunt and her pocket get unfrozen wrong. The disrupted broadcast comes to mind, but Saka can't think of anything else but Mako. The doctor says she's in a coma, but her life is not in danger. But Bettina goes with Samukai and runs into Elm in the shower, who is visiting a friend. The woman is very unhappy about that and advises him to find a place of his own. Eventually they're going to get married. The scooter's a friend, but once he gets on it, he falls asleep, and Tina has to lie down next to him and fall asleep. Meanwhile, Marina goes night fishing, and finds a necklace at the bottom that Monet brings back. She is surprised by the piece. It is rough but at the same time delicate, and it seems to be gold. Today she has already prayed for Morocco, despite the fact that she has a strange dress and no fillings in her teeth for the night. Samukai silently leaves for the hospital. There he identifies himself as Morocco's relative. He is allowed to stay, And he can't look at his beauty. A friend of his, a member of the military police, while he is awake. Bettina goes in search of her beautiful, colorful. A tale from sunny Brazil. All the bloopers are overlaid by the fantastic plot, the beauty of the actors, and the power of love. But the movie also celebrates the timeless values of family honor and nobility, and makes you look at civilization and modern society in a new way. This is more Fox.